My name is Amanda Reyes, and for 10 years, I worked as a police dispatcher in a medium-sized American city. We weren't New York or Los Angeles, but we weren't small-town quiet either. Domestic disturbances, robberies, drug calls, suicides, we got them all. I thought I had heard everything a person could possibly say to 911 until the winter of 2017. That was when the phantom calls began. It was December 3rd, just after 2 a.m., the graveyard shift. My headset crackled and a woman's voice came through. "Help me," she whispered. Her voice was trembling, like she was speaking through clenched teeth. "He's in the house. He's going to kill me." That was nothing unusual on its own. We got calls like that too often. I immediately pulled up the call log. "Ma'am, I need your address." There was a pause. Then she said, 1457 Sycamore. I typed it in. My mapping software flagged it. No such address. "Ma'am, repeat that address for me." 1457 Sycamore, please, he's... A muffled scream, then silence. The line went dead. My gut tightened. Wrong numbers happened, prank calls too, but the scream had sounded real. I dispatched 2 units to check Sycamore Street. Officer Daniels radioed in 5 minutes later. "Dispatch, there's no 1457. The street ends at 1430. I asked him to check again. He swore there was nothing there but an empty lot and a chain-link fence. The call was logged as a false address, no action. But I couldn't stop hearing that scream in my head. 2 nights later, at 1:14 a.m., the same voice came back. "Help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." "Ma'am, what's your address?" I asked, already dreading the answer. 1457 Sycamore. I froze. Same tone, same broken whisper. I traced the number. It came back as disconnected. Still, I dispatched a unit. This time, 2 officers swore they saw something. Daniels again. "Dispatch. I swear I saw lights through the trees. Looked like a house at the end of the block." But when they went closer, there was nothing. Just that empty lot and a fence. Daniels sounded shaken when he came back on radio. "Dispatch. I don't like this. My GPS glitched out when I walked near that fence. Clock on my dash reset too." We laughed it off later. Glitches happened. But something in his voice told me he wasn't laughing. By the 5th time she called, the other dispatchers knew her as the Sycamore Lady. We joked about it during downtime. "Hey Amanda, your girlfriend's calling again." But each time her voice grew more frantic, more desperate. The 5th call was different. She didn't just whisper, she screamed. "Help me! Oh God, he's here! He's here!" Then a sound, a low guttural growl, like a man but wrong. Too deep, too distorted. My headset almost crackled from it. The line went dead. When I checked the call record later, the audio file was corrupted. Nothing but static and faint breathing. On December 18th, Officer Daniels stopped reporting for duty. His patrol car was found abandoned near Sycamore Street. The driver's door was open. His radio was on the ground, fried with static. His body cam footage ended at 2:13 a.m., showing him approaching the fence. The last frame, a flicker of lights behind the trees, a house-shaped silhouette where no house existed. Then the feed cut out. They searched for him for 3 weeks. Dogs, helicopters, volunteers, nothing. Officially, Daniels was listed as missing, presumed dead. But the other officers whispered about the Sycamore calls, and some of them stopped answering 911 dispatches near that street. It didn't end with Sycamore. In January, a different voice called. A man this time. Same words, almost identical. "Help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." The address, 3229 Willow Lane. No such number existed, just like before. Officers checked it out anyway. Same results, an empty lot. But one officer swore his watch had skipped forward 17 minutes while standing near the fence line. The phantom calls became more frequent, 2 or 3 a week, always after midnight. Always the same words, the same scream, the same corrupted audio, and always an address that didn't exist. The night I almost quit was February 7th. I took the call at 3:02 a.m., a child's voice this time. A little boy. "Help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." I tried to keep my voice calm, professional. "Sweetheart, what's your name?" The boy whispered. "My name is Daniel." My blood froze. That was Officer Daniel's first name. I ended the shift early, went to the bathroom, and cried until I was sick. That's when I realized these weren't prank calls. These were people who had already disappeared. After the child's voice, I stopped treating the calls like glitches or pranks. I started keeping my own logbook at the dispatch desk, handwritten, hidden under my console. By February 2018, there had been 17 phantom calls. Every single one followed the same structure. A desperate whisper, "Help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." An address that didn't exist. A final scream before the line cut. Corrupted audio files on playback. But what terrified me most wasn't the calls. It was the aftermath. Because with each cluster of calls, another officer went missing. Case 1. Officer Daniels, December 2017, vanished near Sycamore Street. Case 2. Officer Miller, January 2018, last seen checking Willow Lane. His dash cam showed headlights approaching an invisible driveway. He was never found. Case 3. Sergeant Lopez, February 2018, disappeared responding alone to Birchwood Avenue. Her radio logged one last transmission. "Dispatch, I see someone at the window, but the house number doesn't," then static. Each case had the same official explanation. Officers lost in the line of duty, presumed deceased. But the search parties found no evidence, no blood, no signs of struggle, just empty patrol cars, radios burned with static, and sometimes body cams showing impossible flickers of houses that weren't there. By spring, 3 officers had simply ceased to exist. One night in March, I was called into Chief Harrington's office. The chief was a big man with a permanent scowl. He poured whiskey into his coffee and stared at me like I was a problem to solve. "Reyes," he said, "I hear you've been keeping notes on the Sycamore calls." I froze. My logbook was hidden, but clearly someone had seen me writing. He leaned closer. "You want to keep your job, you stop digging. You stop recording, you take the calls, you dispatch the units, and you let it go." "Sir, 3 of our officers are gone." "Don't!" His fist slammed the desk. "You think you're the first dispatcher to hear them? You think this started with you? Those calls go back decades, maybe longer. They take people. That's what they do. And if you don't shut up about it, they'll take you too." I walked out shaking. That was the night I realized this wasn't just my nightmare. This was a generational curse running through the department. In April, a new officer joined night shift. Officer Blake, 24, fresh from the academy, all confidence and bravado. He hadn't heard the stories yet. The first time the phantom call came during his shift, he jumped at the chance. 1457 Sycamore? I'll check it out. The other veterans went pale. They tried to stop him, but Blake laughed. "What, you all scared of a ghost house?" I begged him over the radio. Blake Don't go past the fence. Just don't. But he did. His body cam footage later showed him climbing over the chain link fence, flashlight bouncing on the ground. For the first time, the footage captured something clear. A 2-story house standing at the end of a dirt path, porch light glowing, curtains moving. "Dispatch, I see it," Blake whispered. "The house is real. It's..." The feed cut. We never saw him again. After Blake vanished, I smuggled out copies of the corrupted audio files. At home, on my personal laptop, I tried to clean the static. What I found made my blood run cold. Behind the screams, behind the distortion, there were other voices, faint, layered, overlapping. "Help me. He's coming. Please don't let him in." But one phrase repeated more than once, whispered like a chorus. "We are still here." By May, the calls weren't just coming at night. Twice they rang through during daylight hours, once during roll call. And once, God help me, the voice said my name. "Amanda, help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." No one outside of dispatch should have known my name. I nearly tore off my headset. My supervisor asked if I was sick. I told her I had a migraine. But inside, I knew the truth. Whatever was on the other side of those phantom calls, it was starting to notice me. I couldn't stop myself. I had to know more. One night, I used my lunch break to drive to Sycamore Street. The fence was still there. The lot was still empty. But as I stood there, I heard it, a phone ringing. Not my cell, not nearby houses, a payphone. An old green payphone bolted to the corner of the fence, rusted, vandalized, the kind you'd expect to be long dead. It was ringing. I didn't answer it. God help me, I wanted to, but I didn't. I ran back to my car and drove home shaking. That night, the phantom calls doubled. 2 separate lines ringing at once, both voices screaming. I stopped sleeping properly. When I did, I had the same nightmare. I was sitting at my dispatch desk. The phones lit up red, all at once, dozens of them. I answered one. "911, what's your emergency?" A chorus of voices replied, hundreds of them layered on top of each other. "Help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." The red lights on the phones flickered into windows. Each window belonged to a house, and in every window, a figure stood staring back at me. Then one of them stepped forward, pressing its face against the glass. It was Daniel's. His eyes were gone. His mouth moved soundlessly. And when I leaned closer, the headset melted into my skin. I woke up screaming, blood dripping from my left ear. By summer, 5 officers had vanished. 2 more had quit outright, refusing to answer any late-night dispatches. When reporters asked about the disappearances, the chief fed them vague lines. "Officers killed in the line of duty. Ongoing investigation." But inside the station, everyone knew the truth. And no one spoke it out loud. Not unless they wanted to vanish too. The night that ended my career came on August 11th, 2018. At 2:09 a.m., I answered the line. 911, what's your emergency? Static. Then, Amanda, open the door. I froze. Who is this? Amanda, please. He's in the house. He's going to kill me. Open the door. Then I heard it, knocking. Not over the line. Behind me, 3 slow knocks on the dispatch room door. But when I turned, the hallway was empty. I ripped off my headset, logged out, and walked out of the station. I never went back. I told myself I was done. I quit. I turned in my badge, walked out of the station, and promised I'd never put a headset on again. But the calls didn't stop. Not for me. My personal cell began to ring at odd hours, always from unknown number. I stopped answering after the first one, because when I did pick up, a child's voice whispered, "He's in the house. He's going to kill me." I smashed that phone with a hammer, bought a new one. Within a week, the calls returned. No one else heard them. Not my family, not my friends, just me. It was as if I hadn't escaped at all, only traded desks. If I couldn't ignore it, I'd understand it. I pulled every favor I had left with old coworkers. One sympathetic clerk in records gave me access to archived dispatch logs, dusty, yellowing binders no one touched anymore. The earliest phantom call I found was 1973. Caller, female voice. Words, "Help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." Address, 214 Maple. Responding officer, Patrolman Henry Cole. Result, patrol car abandoned. Officer never located. It was the same script, the same vanishing, and it didn't stop. Through the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, dozens of incidents, always the same. The names of lost officers weren't on the department's memorial wall. They were listed as resigned or AWOL, hidden, erased. Chief Harrington had been right. It wasn't new. It was a curse. At City Archives, I learned something else. Sycamore Street had once been longer. In the 1940s, it ran another 3 blocks deeper, ending in a cul-de-sac. But that cul-de-sac was bulldozed in 1952 after a fire killed 12 people. The houses were condemned, foundations leveled, residents erased from record. But in old photographs, I saw them. The exact same houses the officers had described before disappearing. The phantom addresses weren't random. They were the dead houses, the ones that had burned away, still standing in some twisted reflection of reality. That green payphone I'd seen at the lot, it showed up in the photos too, in black and white, standing on the corner. Same place, same model, except in the archive photo, it was brand new. According to the city, it was removed in the 80s when the telephone company went digital. But there it was, still bolted into the present, and still ringing. May 19th, my apartment landline rang at 2:14 a.m. Not my cell. My landline, a number I hadn't given to anyone but my mother. I picked it up, hands shaking. "Hello?" Static. Then, "Amanda, come answer the phone." I slammed it down, unplugged the whole unit, sat in silence, trembling. Then my laptop turned on by itself. The speakers crackled. The same voice whispered through them, "Come answer the phone." The next day, a knock came at my apartment door. I almost didn't answer. But when I peered through the peephole, I saw an old man in plain clothes, leaning heavily on a cane. When I opened the door, he gave me a look that told me he knew exactly what I'd been seeing. "You're Reyes, right?" His voice was gravel. "Name's Sergeant Atkins. Retired. You worked at dispatch. You've heard them." I nodded. My throat was dry. "They've been calling this city for 50 years, Atkins said. Longer, maybe. They don't stop. They just wait until someone listens long enough. Then they take." "Take them where?" I asked. He shook his head. "Not where." "Into what?" "Into them, the houses. Once you walk in, you're theirs. You don't come back." Atkins told me about 1986. He was a rookie then, sent to respond to a phantom call on Maple Street. His partner crossed the lot line. Atkins didn't. His partner walked up to the phantom house, flashlight cutting through the dark. The porch light was on. "He opened the door," Atkins whispered, "and he just disappeared." The house blinked out. Gone. I never saw him again. From then on, Atkins avoided those calls, transferred to desk work, retired early. "You're marked now," he told me. "They know your name. They'll keep calling until you answer. "Don't ever pick up that payphone, Reyes. That's the doorway." Then he left me with one last warning. They sound like victims. They're not. They're bait. After Atkins left, the calls became relentless. Phones rang when they weren't plugged in. My TV turned on at night, tuned to static with faint voices repeating the phrase, "Help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." Sometimes I'd glance at the window and see the reflection of a house behind me where there should only be streetlights. And more than once, when I answered my front door, I thought I saw a chain-link fence standing in the hallway. Reality was bleeding. The houses were getting closer. By June, I was unraveling, hallucinating, not eating, barely sleeping. And yet, I couldn't resist the thought. What if they really were victims? What if Daniels, Lopez, Blake, what if they were still inside, waiting to be pulled out? One night, I drove back to Sycamore Street. The payphone was ringing. I stood there under the buzzing street lamp, hands trembling, as the sound drilled into my skull. I reached out. I picked up the receiver. The line wasn't static this time. It was crowded. 100 voices screaming, whispering, begging, "Amanda, please, help us! He's in the house! We're still here!" And then, clear as day, one voice broke through. Daniels. "Amanda, it's real. I'm inside. You have to open the door." I staggered back, nearly dropping the receiver. My eyes blurred with tears. The houses weren't just bait. They were prisons. And Daniels was inside. The voices from the payphone wouldn't stop. Daniels begging, children crying, whispered promises that I could save them if I only opened the door. I knew I should hang up, walk away, pretend none of this was real. But I didn't. Instead, I whispered, "What door?" The line went dead. Then, as I looked up, I saw it. The empty lot wasn't empty anymore. At the end of a dirt path stood a 2-story house. Porch light glowing, curtains swaying through the windows were shut. The same house Daniels had seen on his body cam before vanishing. The payphone in my hand buzzed once more, faintly, before going silent. The door was open. My legs moved without my permission. Gravel crunching under my shoes, breath fogging in the midnight air. Every step closer, the air grew heavier, thicker, like I was walking underwater. The chain-link fence should have been there, cutting me off. But when I looked back, it was 20 feet behind me, though I never climbed it. I was already inside. The porch light flickered. The front door yawned open, revealing darkness so deep it felt like it pulled the light in. My hand reached out to the doorframe. My skin crawled at the contact. It was ice cold, slick with something wet. Blood. The moment I stepped inside, the world shifted. The air smelled of smoke and rot. Wallpaper peeled like old skin. The floorboards groaned under my weight. The house wasn't empty. It breathed. The walls seemed to pulse faintly, like a heartbeat. Shadows slid across the ceiling, though there was no source of light. And in the silence, I heard faint whispers. "We are still here." I almost turned back until I heard it. "Amanda." Daniel's voice echoing from deeper inside. I followed the voice down a narrow hallway, lined with cracked picture frames. Each frame held a photo of someone I knew. Daniels, Lopez, Blake, even Sergeant Atkins, the old man who warned me. All of them frozen mid-scream, eyes black pits. At the end of the hallway was a door, shaking as if something pounded from the other side. Daniel's voice grew louder. "Amanda, hurry! Please, I'm inside!" I reached for the knob. Before I could turn it, something moved behind me. Tall, thin, wrong. A figure stretched from ceiling to floor, its limbs too long, its head brushing the plaster. Its face was a blur, like static on a broken TV. It whispered in 100 voices at once. "Answer the phone." I stumbled back, heart pounding. The figure didn't move closer. It only pointed to the door. Daniel screamed from the other side, fists pounding. "Amanda, help me, please!" I threw the door open. Inside was a room drenched in darkness. Daniels was there, or what was left of him. His uniform was shredded, his skin pale, stretched tight over bone. His eyes glowed faintly, milky white. He reached for me. "You came. You can save us." Behind him, shapes shifted in the shadows. Dozens of them, people half fused with walls, crawling across the ceiling, their mouths gaping in silent screams. One of them I recognized, Lopez. Her arm melted into the plaster, eyes wide with endless terror. The walls whispered again, louder this time. "We are still here." Daniels grabbed my arm. His grip was ice. "You just have to stay. Stay with us. Don't let him take you." But his smile was wrong. His teeth were too sharp, his grip too strong. The figure behind me whispered again, "Bait." And I realized the awful truth. These weren't victims. They were lures. Every officer who vanished hadn't been taken against their will. They'd been transformed, reshaped into extensions of the house. Now Daniels wanted me to join them. I ripped free and stumbled backward. The figure loomed, blocking the hall. Its static face tilted, then spoke in my own voice. "Amanda, help me. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." The words from the calls. My words. If I stayed, if I listened too long, I'd become the next phantom caller. I ran, through the hall, past the frames toward the door. The house groaned and shook, walls stretching like tendons to drag me back. I burst through the doorway and found myself outside again, on the cold sidewalk, the payphone silent at my side. The house was gone. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember falling asleep. All I remember is waking up at dawn, clutching the payphone receiver in my bed. It had followed me home. And faintly from the speaker, a chorus of voices whispered, "We are still here." After that night, the payphone wouldn't leave me alone. I tried throwing it away, into dumpsters, into the river, even smashed it with a hammer. Every time it came back, propped up beside my bed, waiting, and it always rang. At work, in the shower, driving home. No one else could hear it, but I did. The same voices. Daniels, Lopez, children crying, my own voice calling for help, and always the same whisper underneath it all. "We are still here." Sleep meant nothing now. Every time I closed my eyes, I was in the house again, standing in the hall, staring at those frames of screaming faces. I stopped eating, stopped showing up for shifts. Atkins came by once. He knocked on my door for nearly an hour before leaving. I wanted to answer. I wanted to tell him everything. But when I peeked through the blinds, it wasn't him standing outside. It was Daniels, grinning. One night, I drove out of town, miles into the desert, where there was nothing but sand and stars. I left the payphone on the ground, miles from anything. When I got back into the car, it was already in the passenger seat. That's when I noticed them. Lights in the distance, rows of houses, dozens of them, all identical. The same house Daniels had led me into. I blinked, and they were gone. Just desert again. But I knew the truth now. It wasn't just one house. It was many, and they were spreading. I went back to the station one final time. The phones rang as always. Dispatchers answering, officers heading out. But I couldn't hear any of it anymore. All I heard was the payphone on my desk, ringing, ringing, ringing. And this time I answered, The world shifted again. I wasn't in the station anymore. I was standing in the hallway of the house. Only this time, it was longer. Miles long, both sides lined with picture frames. And every single frame held a dispatcher. All of them screaming. All of them black-eyed. I saw myself in one of them, still alive, still screaming. Daniels appeared at the end of the hall. His body stretched, bones cracking with every step. His grin split wider, impossibly wide. "You came back," he whispered. "You finally answered." I ran. But no matter how far I went, the hallway never ended. Doors slammed shut behind me. The walls pulsed like a beating heart. And then, from every picture frame, hands began to reach out, cold fingers brushing my skin. Voices rose into a deafening chorus. "We are still here." My legs gave out. The floorboards opened like a mouth, swallowing me whole. I don't know where I am now. Maybe still in the house, maybe inside the phone. But I can still see the payphone sitting on my nightstand, ringing endlessly. And sometimes, when I scream, I hear someone pick up on the other end. Sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. But when they do, I whisper the only words I have left. "Help me. Please. He's in the house. He's going to kill me." And I know they'll come, because that's what we do. We always answer the call.
If you enjoyed this nightmare, like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.